Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Shakespearean Shrew. I am your Shakespearean Shrew, Karen Feiner, lover of all things bard. Today, we're doing things a little different. We're in the same place, but with different friends. OU is taking over. So two of my amazing students, Sophia Yastrobov and Ellie Slate, are going to be running the show. So this is all you get from me. I'm leaving you, and they're taking over.
Hi, welcome.
Hello.
Would you like to introduce yourselves for the podcast?
Yes, hi. I'm Amanda Lee, previously seen on this podcast promoting the show Penelope. Hello.
Hi, I'm Michaela McCall, previously seen on this podcast talking about sign language interpretation and ASL and Shakespearean theater together.
Yeah, so we're in Dr. Feiner's drama class at OU, and for our class we read the script of Penelope and kind of discussed it, and we were given the opportunity to do a podcast episode. And we decided we wanted to do an episode kind of looking at the process of ASL interpretation in theater and how that's affecting theater and how it's made nowadays. Cool. We're really excited to have you here.
Thanks. Happy to be here. Happy to help.
All right, well, our first question is just kind of about the technicalities of rehearsing with an interpreter. So kind of just want to hear from both of you. What's that like? How does it affect the rehearsal process to have an interpreter in the room, and kind of how does that shift rehearsals and performances?
Yeah. Well, I want to start with saying this show was timed at such an unfortunate place with weather that our rehearsal time that we would have had together was cut short to nothing.
Yeah, it was non-existent.
So we did not have a chance to rehearse together, but have you ever rehearsed with an ASL interpreter?
No, I haven't. And even for this go around, because of how like wham bam things are, and because of like I'm the only person in the show to like inform what's going on, I didn't know we were having an ASL interpreter until like a week before. And then Tyler was like, by the way, it's like, oh, great.
Yeah.
It's really just because if it was a normal show, like a normal, like big, high profile show, we would have more time to rehearse and the whole cast would be informed. But because it's just me and you, I was like, wow.
Yeah. And so this show looked really different than how those big ensemble productions looked because it's the script. I mean, it's just you and an orchestra. It's one woman. And so for us, it kind of actually made it really easy in the staging. I mean, it's a small enough space. The setting was simple enough that it wasn't going to be very hard. I mean, we didn't have to navigate each other. I had my little playing space and then you had your playing space. So it kind of made our life easy, but it looks much different whenever it's, if you see like Lion King on Broadway or something. I mean, that process is very different than what we
did kind of change our blocking a little bit though, because we sort of like remembered halfway through like the rehearsal process that we would have you, and he had me blocked kind of in that space where you were going to be standing for a couple scenes. And then we sort of went, wait, no, Michaela, like we have to have Michaela here, so let's shift my playing space to over here. So we were cognizant of like where you would be.
That's good, yeah. So that's a lot of it is spacing and making sure that we're both open the whole time and not getting in each other's way, which for the show happened to just make our lives really easy.
Yeah, we gave you a little nook back.
Had my own little nook.
It
was nice. It was perfect.
So, Amanda, how did having an interpreter with you on stage, how did that influence your own work or the view on your own work?
That's a really good question. I don't think about it at all. I really don't. The only thing I think about is when there were moments in the show where I just let the band play, like the band just has moments, and I actually get to just sit and watch. And so there were times when I just got to sit and watch, and Michaela would do these beautiful sort of like arm movements that kind of like went along with the music, and I was just sort of like transported, and I was like, oh, I have to say lines now. Stop watching Michaela. So honestly, like you can't even think that she's there, because I'll just get lost in whatever she's doing. So I just ignore her and trust that whoever needs to watch her will watch her, and whoever wants to watch me will watch me, and it's easy. I was a little concerned in that playing space because it is so small that maybe there would be an element of like people not knowing where to look, because there's really just like two options, But everybody was with us the whole time, and I think it added tons to the performance.
Yeah,
it was good.
I was going back and forth the whole time.
It's nice.
You guys both did such a beautiful job with both the interpreting and your acting on stage. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love watching you guys.
Yeah, I think we worked together.
What an ego boost.
We're just bringing art to the masses.
Yeah. Well, and to your point about that is, I think that's exactly the right, is for a man to pretend like I'm not even here, that's really best. Because then especially with, they're different languages. That's just too much going on in your head. But for me, I'm always watching you, and even if you're doing something as simple as walking or scanning the room, when you're engaged and clearly there's a story going on in your eyes, in your face, in your presence, I just watched you because I wanted everybody to focus on you, because there's no language happening.
Right.
So, but then, in those really, really still moments, when from a deaf perspective, it's where do I look? What is happening? What are you all experiencing that I'm not experiencing? Then I get to give a little bit more of this is the vibe of the music, and this is what Penelope is feeling, and this is what you guys can see. So for me, I'm kind of always going, okay, where should the audience's focus be thrown so that they're not confused?
Yes, that's perfect.
Yeah, and I thought it was just so interesting how you picked those moments, because I could see you signing in the instrumentals, and I just started to see kind of your vision and what you're trying to accomplish with that. It was really, really cool.
Quick joke. I told someone that I was doing a podcast today about ASL interpretation, and they said, that's going to be real quiet. And I was like, I'm not doing it. I was like, also there's video.
They'll have to watch it. They'll have to watch our captions.
These are the comedian friends I hang around. That's like, you give them a little bit of ammo, and they're like,
I love it.
Anyway, sorry, continue.
I'm going to reference my next question.
Yes, please, reference
it
away. We're just here to help.
Okay, so this one's to Michaela. When you're interpreting the show in kind of this dramatic way, do you feel like you start to also fulfill the role of an actor on stage? Because you're not just, standing there blank face signing. You were getting into character, and I could see you emoting. So kind of, where's that line between interpreter and actor for you?
This is a perfect question, because this is a really big, the morning of opening night, I started to get stage fright, and I had a meeting with one of my interpreter mentors that is a fantastic interpreter, and he does all of the theatrical stuff with lyric and with OKC Broadway. And when we started the conversation, he said, he was like, you have an artistic background, right? And I said, yeah, I'm studying to be an actor. So I'm going to school for acting right now. And he was like, okay, so you're not interpreting the show. You're not looking at the script and translating it into a different language. You are playing deaf Penelope.
There you
she's
go.
playing hearing Penelope.
There you go.
So you're sharing their experience. So a lot of times, the words that you were singing in your songs, that's not what was coming off my hand. I was standing at the ocean and searching for him. And even especially you have that one line, are you lost in the map of the stars? I got to really paint the stars and actually look for him. And so for me, I was really got to play with my imagination, and I felt much more like an actor acting in a different language than I did an interpreter translating for people.
Cool. I wish I could have seen this. It sounds great. What a bummer I missed out.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was
That's great.
My head is gonna be too big for me.
Imagine how I felt this whole week. I can't even fit through the door, man. It's fine. It's all good. We learned to cope.
Yeah.
How do you think the incorporation of interpretation is important in theater, and how do you think it intensifies the performance?
Ooh, yeah. I think it's incredibly important in theater. There hasn't been nearly as much accessibility in live theater and live art that I think that there should be. And so having that element and opening it up to this whole community of people is, I think it's, I don't see why it doesn't happen more often. It's kind of unfortunate that it is so, and because whenever you get to add in a visual language with your spoken language, you're opened up to a whole new world of possibilities. How can this story be told? And what does this perspective look like when it's visual rather than just auditory? I could go on and on and on about that, but I wish it happened more often. I wish there was more theatrical interpreting.
And Amanda, has this been your first time working with an interpreter on the show?
Man, I don't know. Listen, guys,
Sometimes they don't even tell
I'm
you
very
guys.
old, and I've been doing this for a really long time, and chances are there have been times where there was an interpreter somewhere and no one told me. And I perform with Sesame Street Live a lot all over the country, and a lot of times there would be interpreters for that in different cities, and they never told us. They put them on this platform somewhere and they did a great job, and I just was like, I don't know. But to that point, it needs to be more. And I think Oklahoma Shakespeare is working really hard
to make sure that every performance here on out has at least one ASL interpreted show. And I would like my marketing brain kicks in, and I want to see that promoted more to the deaf community so that like we can really like push to make them feel included. And at least once a show, we gotta have you back. Like that's just, I'm not in charge, but if I was, I would say, let's do it every show. And let's really like get those people in here.
Yeah, and it does take some time for the word to get out to the community, but when theaters and when companies are consistent in offering that, then you get to see more of the community included and see their faces more.
So we went into email. Let's go. Let me get somebody. I'll do it because it's important.
Yeah.
And Michaela, I'm just kind of curious, like specifically with this show, because obviously I don't know how many times you actually interpreted live, but I feel like not every show would have the opportunity for such a dramatized interpretation. Because like if you're doing multiple people, like you can't be every character. So like how often do you think you're able to kind of act with the interpretation?
I think in every show you have to have some of that just to get the feeling and get the vibe. And I mean, they deserve just as equal of a performance, right? But this one was really unique because of the way that it's set up. I mean, it really is just you. And so that this was a huge creative opportunity for me. And it really was much more dramatized, I guess you could say, and much more theatrical than it probably would have been. Did I just answer the question? I like totally started going off on a tangent. But yeah, so this was hugely different than what you would see if I was doing maybe like Had a Gobbler or something would probably look very different. And like I would not have done kind of as much artistic work. And having the musical element, I mean, a live orchestra, that totally changes things. And it really helps where so much more of it I wasn't giving words and language, I was giving feelings and emotions and the swell of the music and slowing things down. And yeah, so it was kind of a challenge in creativity for me.
Awesome. Yeah, and I noticed like Amanda also, you had a lot of pantomime in your performance. And it was so cool, like some of your pantomime matched up with Michaela's sign.
Oh yeah!
Actually really awesome.
That's cool. Wish we had like recorded this.
I have like 15 seconds of recording.
Okay, you gotta send it to me because that sounds amazing. Yeah, so the pantomime in the show was not really in the script. I mean, you guys read the script. It kind of says like, oh, she's leaving or she's whatever. And it was Tyler, our director, who really put it all together. And he and I worked collectively to sort of make it make sense to where she's having this journey, and the pantomime of it reflects the routine of her day, and you watch it change and grow as her day is going on. So I love to use physicality in as much as I can in performance. I mean, you guys saw the show, I get a little wacky. So like, I just like to get the audience involved, get my body involved. One of my friends came to see the show and he was like, I forgot how graceful you are. And I was like, listen, I'm not always some wacky Muppet. Like I've taken a dance class. Like I can be graceful. So it's like informing your body to help tell the story, which is essentially what you're doing too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Ellie, I have ad-libbed a lot, so do you want to ask
We
the
love
next
an
one?
ad-lib. We love it here. Yeah.
I did want to ask, was there a favorite song that you liked performing in ASL?
Ooh, yeah, good question.
The first one.
Oh, yeah?
Because it was, when I got the script, I do scripts that I start top to bottom. I just read the whole thing through and I start working through it. And it starts, the first couple lines are vague.
Yeah.
And so you're
right?
like, I'm like, what? And there's, on a linguistic scale, I can't let anything be. We don't have really a word for be.
Yeah.
So I was like, if you translate it just as it means nothing. There's no linguistic value to most of those words in this language.
Yeah.
And so it was a huge challenge. And then I kind of had to reverse the way I work, and I had to work from the end of the song up, because then I got to really, at the beginning, the way it sounds in ASL is you start with all of the people coming up to her and talking to her, and where the lines go, the gifts and the tea, and kind of,
Yeah.
And so you show that, and then I show her pushing all of them away and closing off.
Oh,
and so that happened on stage. I was like, oh, I forgot that this person, and then I did it, and I was like, and I got into this vibe, and your voice is so beautiful, and the way the song builds just like kind of took me away. And that song, that was my favorite to interpret, and just there's so many good images, the waves whispering his name, and I still love that song. I like how it plays in my head now.
Everybody has to be like, oh, can I get the soundtrack? I'm like, it doesn't exist. Like, there's no soundtrack. It's never been recorded anywhere. I have a recording from when they did it at Joe's Pub in New York, like ages ago.
And I think that's on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah, there's some stuff on the internet, but like as far as like a recording, did you land on a sign for Penelope? You had said something like
Penelope.
Oh, nice.
So this is Penelope because
like
this
that.
is power.
Yes.
So Penelope, and then Odysseus is over her.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, I love that.
So sweet.
So great. Yeah, that first song is the hardest song in the whole show.
Yeah.
It's like, oh great, let's start at the top. The absolute hardest thing you're gonna have to sing all night. And that's great.
Yeah.
But it's kind of nice in a way because once I get through it, I'm like, all right, we did the rest.
that right.
Did that one. That's cool. Yeah.
Your voice was amazing.
Oh,
The entire night,
thanks.
I
Oh,
was
thanks.
in awe.
Oh man, it's a lot of people are like, we didn't know you could do that. I'm like, well, I think there aren't shows that let you do that. Like this show is special because I've had this voice my whole life, but there's not a show that lets me do that with my voice until this. You can only sing Beauty School Dropout so many times before it's like, well, snoozer. Like, sorry, she sang in 1 octave. Congratulations. But this is like, oh, I get to be a rock star. So.
Yeah.
Fun. Super fun.
What was your favorite to perform, Amanda?
It changed as the process went along because I had like a deeper understanding for certain things. So Pilgrim's Song in the very beginning, Pilgrim's Song is one where she sort of like becomes this pilgrim and is like seducing herself in a weird way. And it was like too weird for me when I first heard it. I was like, what is that? Like, I'm a pilgrim now and like desperate city. Like, what does that even mean? But then as my life started happening and I started having these like life events that helped me understand the song more, I was like, oh, I get it. And then it slowly became my favorite song. It also kind of reminds me of like an Eva Cassidy song. I don't know if anybody here knows Eva Cassidy, but like she's this beautiful singer-songwriter and Pilgrim Song sounds like it could be her. Like it sounds like it could be her song. And so I just slowly, it's also very easy to sing. It's in that like nice mellow part of my voice that I can just like chill out in. But yeah, Pilgrim Song is the jam. It's the best for me. Yeah.
Cool. Would you also say that you said that the first song was your favorite? You also said it was challenging. Do you think it's the most difficult to sign for you out of all of them?
No.
Which one do you think was the most difficult?
Probably Drunk Iliad because there's so many words in it, I would imagine, right? The one where I'm drinking and I'm straight out words. Yeah.
That one's hard. I honestly, if you ask me what I signed for any of that song, I blacked out. I was just like, keep up.
Yeah, it's so fast.
It's
talk really
fast.
fast.
And so part of me just has to go, okay, I know the storyline. Let me just I know how to get to the next point. Let me just try and do that. No, there's the song, God, I'm so bad with the titles of them because I know it in ASL. What is the song where the wind work to do? Is that what it's called?
Oh yeah, that's called Resolution, I think.
Resolution.
Yeah.
That one. Wait, did you ask me which one was the hardest one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that one was the hardest one because it just was. It was.
Well, also I don't really sing the same words every night, so who even knows what I sing?
Okay, so I'm not crazy.
No, so much of that song is like, and the wind, and the rocks, and the earth, and the mist, and I'm like, I'm just gonna say whatever. I'm not gonna say it in the right order ever. Like, I'm sorry, Alex, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. But it's a lot.
Well, and sometimes where I was, sometimes I couldn't figure out which words you were on because I have drums and I have cello and I have mics and stuff, and you're in front, I'm behind you.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that one was hard, but and work to do isn't a phrase that works in sign language.
Really?
I mean, it does, but not for the context with which you were using it.
Yeah.
Until the very last one you said maybe I have work to do,
Yeah.
then I got to actually say I have work to do. And so but that one was the most challenging to do once I got, I would say that one. But also one of my favorites because when you're visual like that and you get to, I got to really show, okay, the ocean and the wind. And it was really, yeah.
When I was in rehearsal during that song once, I had a full Celine Dion moment where I sing that line about, I'm the only one, like, I don't need him or whatever. I did this, like,
thing. And I caught myself doing it. I was like, never do that again. Like, what just happened? Why did I do this? Like, Celine was not. No. I think I just stopped singing and I was like, 1 minute. Oh, it's a powerful song, everyone. See. This couch, hold on. I can't
sinking.
My feet don't touch the floor. I'm all over the place. It's okay. Continue.
She's taller on camera.
I'm much taller on camera. On stage, I'm a giant. We only had to hem like 2 feet off my dress. It's fine. Okay, back to you.
Is there any specific part in Penelope that stands out to you as moving or just important?
Yes. I'll go first and then you go.
Yeah.
Or you go. You go
No,
first.
you go
You go first. I just have you talk.
Okay.
Try to pace it good.
The part that's moving.
Yeah.
Well, it was actually different on stage than what I thought it was going to be when I was preparing for it. On stage, when I was performing with you, the most moving part was when you go back to the picture and you start describing all of the people in the wedding and what that looks like. That, and then discussing when Odysseus would come home and watching him sleep was on stage really, really moving. But in the script, I think it was maybe in a different way, but when Penelope just like absolutely loses her shit at Athena, I just loved it because I'm like, especially with the context of if we go back to the Odyssey into the world of kind of Greek mythology, I mean, cursing a god is kind of a big deal, right?
She pulls out the F-bomb. So
right.
Athena
That, and I mean, she calls Athena a boiled fucking ham.
She
and,
sure does.
and then to say, and the worst part of it all is you don't even know me. Like,
You don't even know who I
Athena,
am.
you're all that, but like, I'm fucking Penelope.
Yes.
That was really incredible to read. And then just everything you did was, going back and seeing him in bed and talking about that. And every time you looked at the picture, I just like, my heart just like,
Yeah, it's rough. I couldn't do that song for a while.
Yeah.
There was one rehearsal where we got to that song and I broke down so hard in tears that people were like worried. They were like, I think we need to just send her home.
Like, I don't think she's gonna recover.
Like, it's just part of the process, guys. It's cool. Part of the process. That boiled ham, like, you're the god of disappointment.
The god of
You're a
disappointment.
boiled fucking ham. Like, what?
First of all, I've never heard somebody use that word.
Right? I think it's so good. Oh, it's so good. Okay, my answer to this question is related to a story that happened yesterday that is maybe my new favorite story of all time. So the return in the show is a 2.5-minute musical piece that I just have to, the only direction is I see Odysseus, that's it. He's coming home, go ahead and act. Like, that's all I have to do. So my family came to the show yesterday and I warned them ahead of time. I said, listen, it's hard to see someone you love having all these emotions on stage. It's very difficult. And you're probably gonna feel some feelings and you're gonna react. I said, so, and totally jokingly, I said to them, if things get too intense and you get stressed out during the show, just shout out Freebird and the band will bust into Freebird. Because as we all know, bands notoriously hate being requested Freebird. And I meant it as a joke to my very religious, very non-feeling family. So cut to yesterday, we're in the matinee. I'm doing my thing. The return is playing, it's beautiful. I'm having my cathartic emotional breakdown, as I am wont to do during this scene. I get down to the stage, the music stops, my stepfather yells out, Freebird! From the front row at the top of his lungs.
No way.
And I don't know what happened. I hear the band kind of be like, I have to keep the audience with me because I'm about to go into this very emotional monologue talking about my now returned husband and, oh, is it him? And I have tears. So I kind of go and just keep going. And like, God bless the audience. They like stayed with me. And I don't know how they stayed with me after hearing someone shout Freebird. So I afterwards asked my family, like, what the hell happened here?
And apparently what happened was my stepdad, who never goes to see shows, who doesn't understand theater, he freaked out a little. And he thought I was like really having a breakdown. Like he was like worried about me. Like he thought it was kind of real. And like the only thing his sweet little stepdad brain could do was the thing I told him to do. And so he just shouted out Freebird.
Oh my god.
So I would say that's probably the most emotionally impactful part of the show. That 2.5 minutes where I apparently very realistically have a breakdown. Who knew? I was such a good actor. I didn't know. I know. So now we know, guys. Now we know.
That's amazing.
That's a story for all you all to tell. If anybody's ever like, do you have a funny theater story? You can be like, well, I do actually. Amanda Lee told me all about Freebird. You can take that with you now.
That is so
Please share.
Imagine being another audience member and then it's like, we're not going to say anything.
Are we gonna acknowledge that?
Yeah.
It made it into the performance report. Like I had to like text the stage manager because in the performance report was like, I think someone shouted out Freebird. So I was like, I'll tell you the story later, guys. It's fine. So yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it's a good time. Always a party here at Oklahoma Shakespeare, everyone.
And you know,
who knows what will
had I
happen?
been interpreting that show, I would
You
have
would've been
said
like,
somebody
Freebird.
yelled Freebird.
Oh, what's the sign for Freebird? Is there a sign?
Freebird.
Oh yeah, you would have had to do it in total silence. We'd have been like,
Yeah,
yes.
especially when I'm, with you in that moment, and we're both looking at a distance, and then I would have had to break and go, somebody just yelled
Somebody just yelled
Freebird.
Freebird. Just so you all know. Can you imagine people be like, is that part of the show? Guys,
Yeah.
greatest story of my life now.
Oh my God.
So good.
My face hurts.
That is brilliant.
Yeah, guys, it's the magic of live theater.
You never know what will happen.
Oh, also, we didn't have a viola player for the first half of the show yesterday.
Oh.
He slept in. He didn't show up.
Oh,
It's fine. He was here by intermission, so we had a full band by the second act.
Great.
Live theater.
Wow.
It's great.
Amazing. Well, I think that's all of our questions.
Great, you did it.
How do you sign boiled fucking ham?
Yeah.
How does that?
So I had a conversation that morning because there was several lines in the script that I lost sleep over. I became ill over. I had nightmares. I talked to my therapist. She didn't know what to do. So I consulted the interpreting world of the people that I knew, and I said, boiled fucking ham, anybody? Last fly in the ointment, anybody?
Oh, yeah.
Meatball ate a pickle. Sinewy, kinky bad boy.
Sinewy, kinky bad boy.
I was like,
That's a line.
please help me. And so what I had to do was really go, okay, why is Penelope saying all this weird shit? And I was like, she is cursing a god in every most disrespectful, horrible way that she can.
Mm-hmm.
So I just started throwing out all of the sign language insults I knew that would have been. So I didn't sign boiled ham, and I didn't say, and the last fly I knew it is.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, you fucking suck. You make me sick. I want to puke when I look at you. I don't want to pray to you anymore.
Yes.
Because I just got really nasty with it.
Nice.
And I was like, so that, and then meatball ate a pickle. I just said, you guys smell sour, make me want to puke.
Great.
So, yeah.
I love it.
There's no foot licking?
There's no foot licking happening.
Sorry.
But I got to see the rhythm. Okay, so so I love, because we talked about during our episode the rhythm of Shakespeare and how, like, what do you do with signing, because some of the words don't rhyme. Like when you're signing them, it's not like, because I was watching some of the words that you were signing and I was like, it doesn't rhyme, it doesn't fit with the lyric, but it fits the rhythm.
Yeah.
And I was like, it all makes sense.
Yeah. And when you see it actually happen, then you're like, oh, that's what that is.
So yeah, so now I'm really excited to see another ASL Shakespeare production as well, because
yeah.
I was thinking about like the rhymes.
Can you imagine Complete Works?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, look, I don't even want to wish that upon you. I want it to happen, but like,
Nobody
wowzers.
Tell them I can't.
That would be an undertaking.
We'll get you a team.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
You need a team.
You
And a
honestly,
therapist.
like, yeah, you would
And a
have
therapist.
more than one, because that show flies by so fast. Like, oof. We gotta do it though. I just put it out to the universe that we
Yeah,
can have somebody in every
so-
show. So
Yeah.
that's the next
that
show.
one will be dedicated
Complete
to
Works.
you.
Great. Sorry. Put it on the universe.
Now what's happening?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting back out of the picture, but I just Great episode. So much fun.
Yay.
And watching both of you was such a privilege.
We did it.
just-
We're amazing.
Just to
together forever.
further inflate the egos in case it hadn't been done enough, just throw that in there. All right, now.
Can't wait to the next one.
Okay, I think that's all the questions. We were wondering if you'd be willing to sing. I know you don't have a band.
I can sing
But
with no
you were
band.
brilliant.
It's a band.
If you'd be willing to sing part of Drunken Iliad, and if you would smile along with it.
The one where I talk about it. I
Just
should
shots.
tell you who I am and what you're here
Take a
for.
shot. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. No,
Are you sure? That's a lot of pressure on you.
No,
Are you
it's
okay?
You guys won't know by this out.
No, nobody.
I mean, do
Okay, you ready? You ready for a little drunken Iliad? Okay, let's do it. I'm not gonna watch you because I'll probably just get distracted.
Yeah, and I'll be.
Okay, ready?
We'll be in
Here we
our
go.
own worlds.
I'll look at myself. Hey, Amanda from Revolutionist. Right. Okay, ready? I should tell you who I am and what you're here for. Some tasteful exposition, don't you think? But if we're gonna start to talk about the Trojan War, I'll need a drink. So good. Okay, sorry. Imagine you're a young girl and nothing more. A newborn babe and a husband's all you got. But then your husband walks right out the front door. Who wants a shot? Is that enough? Amazing.
I love it.
So good. Just a lot of drinking, that's all.
I know. It was such a fun one. All right, everybody. Just remember, thank you all for listening. All the world's a stage, and you too can be a shrew.
Yay.